of the apocalypse! Ladies and gentlemen, the Warbosses of the apocalypse.
Well, hey, what is the crack, folks? As you can tell, currently it's just me, but sure, aren't I the one you come to this show to see, to be entertained? So how are you all keeping? What's the crack? How are things? Are we all enjoying our new 40k Ork Codex that I still haven't bought yet? But boy Jesus, you know, great crack. He's enjoying the league. The league's going well, man. We've gone through the first round of games. I had my first match against Steve on. It was a bit of a steep learning curve. It didn't work out too well for me there with the first league match. Bit of a spoiler there if you haven't seen it yet. But if you haven't seen it yet, what have you been doing? Like, it's been like, what, 3-4 weeks now? Just need to get the finger out, folks, and get watching. But yeah, my first game against Steve-O, and it was good crack. I made a few errors at the start, but as the league progresses, you'll see I learn. There's a bit of a learning curve. Like, you have to remember, Skarpia here plays Battletech, boys. I'm not into this 40k shenanigans. I don't keep up to scratch with it as much. So if you're looking for tactics and sage advice when it comes to 40k, nah, you're barking up the wrong tree here. But if you're looking for ideas for conversions, or you want to talk about the older codexes and a bit of lore, you've come to the right place. The other boys will fill you out on the current meta and stuff like that. Mind you, I have been busy with the old Mega Nobz for a Bully Boys formation. I'd forgotten how many I had when the Saga the Beast came out, with the box set with Gazgul and Ragnar Blackmane. You know, that box set came out. I think I bought 3 of them and then sold off the Space Marine parts. So I ended up with 3 Gazguls. I sold the Gazgul off. So I have a Gazgul, a plastic one. I ended up with like 9 Mega Nobz, and I already had some Mega Nobz. So I'm up to me bleeding eyeballs in Mega Nobz. So if I want to go Bully Boys formation, I can. I just need to find me old battle wagons. That's mostly what I've been doing myself of late. I've been trying to gather the 40k collection together. I've various painted boys knocking around everywhere, but it's a case of, you know, trying to pull it all together. It's, you know, I've some stored over here, some stored over in this garage over here, this shed over there. I've bits and pieces around, so I'm trying to coalesce the 40k Orkdom into one place to actually see what do I have in my collection, because I've lost track. I don't know what it's like when you've been into a hobby. Jesus, 29 years. I'd be 29 years this year. Would it be 29 years? It's been a long time. I've been at it a good while. I've been collecting orcs since about 2008, so I've been at that a while as well. But yeah, trying to get it all into the one place. Like the WA banner knob. I'd forgotten I had a WA banner knob. I never painted it. I built it. He's out of production now, but I got him. I remember getting him in the Spearhead box set when it came out for the 4th edition Ork Codex came out. That's why he came in metal as well. Thank Christ. We've a few people have joined in the chat. What's the crack? Gitman's here. What's the story? Gitman Decent's here. First in the fight, says Gitman. Mostly Zen is here as well. What's the crack? Are the other bastards still busy with that donkey? Listen, Zen, you need to drop that donkey. I think the RSPCA, is it the old animal services will be looking for you otherwise. Mega Nobz are good fun. Mega Nobz are great crack. The funny thing I have is I have like Mega Nobz in metal. I've tended them in metal. I just couldn't find them. Like when I was building the army for the league, I couldn't find me Storm Boys, and then lo and behold, after we've done the league, I find like 30 Storm Boys, the 3rd edition ones, you know, the ones where it was like their body is metal and the legs were the old boys, and their heads and the arms were all plastic. So they're this weird sort of hybrid multi-part plastic and metal. So for those who haven't been around that long, this sort of a phase that Games Workshop went through, you know, stuff used to be metal. Then there was a phase of stuff being metal and plastic. There'd be like a base plastic set. And their idea was, well, we'll give you specialist troops by giving you like the torso and the backpack in metal. So you'd get like a plastic, you buy a box set for Stone Boys in Third Ed, right? And you'd get plastic boys with metal parts, pretty much is what you do. And then you combine them together and bish bash bosh. You have Storm Boys. That's how it worked back then. So yeah, I'm at a finding 30 of them, I think. Jesus, I found a good few Storm Boys now. And I'm up to me eyeballs. So I'm sure if we ever decide to have a big apocalypse orky meet in October some year, I'll be up to me eyeballs in Storm Boys. Between the ones that I converted recently and then the ones that I found, Jesus, there'll be no stopping me. Jesus, there's more than one of us. There's a couple. Holy fuck! Well, hey! I was like them shower of bastards trying to hold the fort here.
I did reply back on WhatsApp, but I was expecting a Zoom call. I was like, oh, I
Well, is somebody doing a Zoom call? No replies. I'm like, right, fuck it. Let's get the ball rolling. You know what I mean? How are you keeping, Sid?
I'm not too bad, mate. I've been at work today, so I've just got finished had my tea. I left my phone upstairs, so I was out of WhatsApp until about 4 minutes tonight.
Where are you? Where the fuck are you? Bastards! We've a good few in the chat. BC is saying Storm Boys and Mega nobz Scar's gone full on meta. Listen, I went for the teamed army before any of this meta shit. Don't be giving me this now, alright? Unlike some people with their my team's tracks, honest gov. That's my teamed army. It just so happens to be powerful.
They all had eggs for breakfast.
Sid's audio is very low. Hold on, they're saying your audio is very low. Give it a second. No, I can hear you. That means it is OBS properties. We shall try. Shall try that one. How does that sound for people? Give us a chat there, Sid. No. Hold on. This has been.
Is that any better?
There we go. I think that's working now. How's that sounding now? OBS has a tendency to reset stuff as well. It's a pain in me hole. I can hear his voice, but can't make out what he's saying.
Well, that's normal. That the biggest shock I had looking through the analytics on my YouTube channel was that 9% of the viewers use English subtitles. So you cheeky fuckers.
People south of fucking Nottingham or something like that, even in the UK. Subtitles for this one, I think, love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's he saying? I don't know.
They'll not help. Subtitles won't help.
Yeah, there we go. Better. Algorithm is trying to silence Sid. That's what it is. It's trying to auto-translate them in live time, and it just wasn't able to cope. I think that's what it was.
No.
What are you working on project-wise, Sid? What are you working on yourself?
I've started painting the flying boat.
Oh, very nice.
And like started doing like a coppery. It looks orangey and real light.
Ooh.
For the just getting the metals on it. I've also got for me. Where is he? Stompa lad. Because of his skinny gams.
Yeah. I knew. Do you know what? I was thinking something like that. I was thinking something like the Warhound Titan leg plates. Look at this.
That's exactly what they are.
Look at this legend of a man. I love it.
So, my mate had a couple of spares because he got the Warhound Titan, and it comes with plain ones and ornate ones.
Yeah, Quillas and yeah.
He used the plain ones, and he gave me the ornate ones. So I know they look smooth, but if you look at them, they're
you've had to Dremel the bejesus out of them, have you?
Yeah. I was sitting there with my mask on because, and had a wet paper towel on my desk to catch bits, and I just had a pile of it about an inch thick on the back of my hand. I was holding it. I'm like, fuck it out. I keep sort of trying to slide my vape up the back of the mask.
The neighbours like, oh, I hear Sid's touring, dab hand at it as a dentist now, you know what I mean? Thinking you're giving away free fucking back fillings or whatever.
But I'll go over it with a bit of finer grit sandpaper. But I mean, I don't mind a bit of texture. It's just
it's orky. It's going to be battered.
Yeah, it's been kicking Marines about in it.
I mean, you could have
put a bit of freehand on there or something. Maybe
done like if it wasn't a Quilla, you could have just dremeled like an X in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And painted it red and be like, it's looted.
I've done that before. I've done a lot of where I've just sort of got the Dremel and just took the eagle out, and then made a tiny little orky skull glyph out of plastic card, and stuck it in the middle, and done orc quillas, where it's just like a winged orc glyph.
I like it. Little skull.
Glyph, by the way.
Yeah.
Not an elk or a moose. loose. But yeah, so I've got my leg plates for that, but I'm figuring I need to get some painting finished because I haven't done a video for a while. Just because I keep moving on to new things.
Jeez, yeah, you're hobbying at a furious pace as well. Like, there's no bleeding stopping you.
But it's random. It's just I'm all over the shop. I'm not finishing anything.
No.
I started trying to make mega nobs out of the Blood Bowl Black Orcs.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now, are you talking about the previous set or the new Black Orcs?
The new ones. The new ones. The ones that were all big, heavy pads and good sort of positions and what have you.
They're very sort of bulbous and round, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit. But I've noticed that they've got small legs. And I think they come in maybe 4 mil shorter than the GW Mega Nobs, which isn't a massive amount.
I mean, if you're gonna,
But
you could give them power boots, so some plastic hard underneath. That'll raise them up a few mil.
What, like Gary Glitter?
Listen, we don't. You fucking. That wouldn't have been the reference I went with, but all right, mate.
Harry, noddy holder, nobby holder, mega nobby holder.
Mega nobby holder. There you go.
Yeah, but I done 2, maybe 1.5, and I just went, oh, these are too small.
You were discouraged by the size, yeah.
I was a bit, yeah, especially when I had these feckers next to us, which I've also been meaning to do for a while.
I mean, how's that? Mega nobs, is it? They're huge, like.
No, these are the RTLW ones.
Give us a look there. Hold on there. Look at the bleeding size of them.
I know.
Chunky boys.
I mean, I've put some different heads on. I haven't put the arms on yet.
Oh, see, I like those heads. I was starting to use those heads myself for me mega nobs, but I've only got 3.
I do like them.
I ran out of them, and I'm like, well, where do I get more of them? Where's the old box set that I need to buy to then get more heads?
Well,
and I'm like,
I only bought the box set. Sorry, I'm doing it then. I only bought the box set. See it recently. It was in the last year or so, maybe. But I did hear that they pulled it.
Oh, it's gone, is it?
I don't know for definite.
It's always the good stuff.
I'll have a quick look.
It's never the shite we don't care about. It's always the good stuff, isn't it?
I know, it's always the way.
I am trying to reassemble my metal dread that got battered. You know, this metal dread that they re-released for a short period of time. Because I've been sticking around with the hobby long enough, I've got like about 5 of them. So I was like, I best be fixing this one. So I may even pin him while I'm at it to stop him from falling apart anytime he's knocked over and just exploding into a shower of bits, you know.
Did you manage to get him out the sock okay, though?
Well, you know what I mean. I think that's how he lost a limb or 2. For those who don't know the reference, dread socking was where you'd put a metal dreadnought into a sock and beat your opponent over the head when he was being a twat. Just in case you were like, socks, what are they talking about? Oh, no, it wasn't that. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
No. We're hobby friendly here. So if I was saying rollerblading mega nobs, the wheels give them the height, well, maybe. There you go. You can have them like the Fisher Price sort of skates.
Because they're in that sort of pose. There's a lot of this sort of antics going on.
You could have very aggressive ice skating going on if you did give them ice bases, make them ice skating.
I mean, I didn't sort of like chuck them or anything. I just put them in a little box, labeled them Blood Bowl Mega Nobs, and then put them on a shelf because I tend to do that. I mean, this thing, where is it? There we go. That's a prime example. That's something which I started because it was there. And I've got things I want to do more, but this was sort of sitting there as an eyesore, just as like a green tank body. And I thought, no, I must do something with that to get it out of my sight.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing things that would be like number 9 on my list of things I want to do and leaving 1 through 8. So the Blood Bowl Mega Nobs went, no, I'll do that. That's when I've got nothing left to do. Ergo, never. But I'll do things I want to do. And I want to get some videos finished. And that's why I'm painting the
So like, would
Uh,
you specifically aim to finish a project with a video in mind? Like, so you're a crafty individual in that you remember to record the process. It's like
Sometimes.
so well,
I've had a blip of late. I was going through that buggy war track thing,
yeah.
and I was going, and then it's kind of like it's like draw an owl, right? With a few more steps leading
Start
up to it,
with
but then it was just
start with some vague shapes.
draw a
Something.
circle, draw a
Yeah.
circle, draw an owl. And in the flying ship, I'd done nothing,
No.
nothing. But I did I did video it, sort of just talking through what I'd done. I mean, to be fair, there's not apart from the bit that floats above it, the ship itself. It's just like swap a few guns out, stick some dags on it, some armor plates,
Hmm.
a couple of minor changes. It's mostly the crew where there was a lot of conversion and work going in, sort of like getting arm shapes, and I've got to have somebody slouching there with a cigar on the go, and
Yeah, changing the
the drop.
poses, a bit of chopping
Yeah,
and
one of the
changing.
old world goblins. The ones who stand like that with the shield tucked in and the spear pointing up.
Yeah.
I've got him holding his spear, like jabbing with it with two hands. It was a bit of a funny on to get that, but it's a crew what's got to make that one come to life. I think. I hope.
I think you're right. I think you've got like a good base with the miniature itself, but I think all the little vignettes you can do with, like, there's this guy's pushing this guy off the side because he ate some,
This is
or
it.
this one's carrying a bucket of slop and this guy's
Mhm.
slipping on said slop as it's spilt down the ship or whatever. You know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
type of things are always cool to see. We will go back to the old comment section. Who was saying what? Keith is saying, hey boss, I just got home with the kids upstate weekend, so I was out with the missus. Where are those mega knobs from, Sid?
They are RTLW.
Ooh, Artel.
I think they're called Nuka bosses or something like that. I mean, to be honest with you, they're perfectly usable for like Warboss size, and they come with Power Claw, Kill Saw, an alternate arm with a shooter on it, and the Power Claw's generally got at least one claw you can take off and replace with another Buzzsaw.
So you can do
So you can run it like two Kill Saws, or a Power Fist and a Power Claw and a shooter. Oh, but yeah, whatever kind of shooter. And the shooter's actually got interchangeable barrels as well. You've generally got the gun barrels, and then underneath you can put more gun barrels on, or flamers, or rockets. I have had them for a while. I have used a lot of their bits. There's more than one of them only has two fingers.
Because you pinched the rest of them.
I've been eyeing up little saw blades off, like the Killa Konviktz with the pincers with the tiny teeny saw blades, and yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
I need.
I just came across a bunch of them today as I've been organising the hobby space and trying to get the collection together. It's like, oh, there's bits of a dread, and there's more bits of it. Hold on, there's like bits for 3 different dreadnoughts here. I was like, where's the rest of them? You know what I mean? It's like there's cores of 3 dreadnoughts here in plastic. What's happened to the rest of the Zogan things? And then just coming across metal miniatures, I'm like, yes, I had forgotten I had that. Plenty of them. Gitman is saying, Mr. Snippy, no, that's correct. It is the original Mr. Snippy. He was posted up in the Facebook group, giving you his warnings. He was to behave yourselves or you give you the snip. Originally, I thought I was the craftiest of bollockses because I took the grabbing claw from the battle wagon and used it as like a large grabbing claw for his underslung arm. So instead of, because I used to rock them with combi flamers back in the day, because I like the idea of they'd come up, they'd throw down a flamethrower template if there was loads of little gribblies and then smash in, or if it was something big, they just came in with 3 power claws and tore the shit out of it and didn't care anyway. So, you know what I mean? That's just the way I like, and I still like putting them on. And then I'm become obsessed with flamers of late. So it's like, hey, win-win.
I do like that claw off the battle wagon. Yeah. I've never put it on the battle wagon before, but I've got it as an arm for a Gorkamorka.
I
It's a
love that.
spindly arm.
This bit's so good it can't possibly go on the original miniature. We can't be having that.
But I stuck it on the arm. I'd done one of the first kit bashes I ever done. Just at the start of lockdown was like an old Rogue Trader Rhino, and I wanted to do like I think it was actually in the community were doing the Mega Dread challenge.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I was looking at them going, oh yeah, I want to get involved in this. So I started it, but it ended up a Gorkamorka. But like I say, it was a Rhino, and I wanted it like a turtle shell, basically with something mechanical coming out of it, legs out the bottom, arms out the side.
I remember that. Yeah.
The big doors open with the head coming out, and yeah, so I did. But for the grabby arm, I used the truck claw, and then I cut one of the killer can claws in half down the middle and positioned it either side of the pincers, so it's like a 4-way claw. And if you keep the pistons and everything on, you can sort of like join it up so it looks quite meaty. Plus, it's got the hole in it, which I fixed to the side door of the Rhino and had an Ork leading out with a slugger. Just
nice,
very bad moony, but yeah, it was quite good. And I used 2 of them on me Orkiopter, the Admech Flyer.
Yeah,
It looks like it flaps.
The one you brought to the force meet. Yeah, I remember.
That's right. Yeah, but instead of having them daft sort of like landing skids it's got, I replaced it with the 2 battle wagon claws, just so it looks like you can grab onto a perch or grab people and pluck them out there.
Yeah, pluck them as it flies by. Yeah, that's sweet, man.
Yeah,
you can do a
I
lot
do
with
need
them,
another
like.
one. It's a nice bit. It's a lovely bit. Beautiful bit.
We have the comment section again. BCSN use one of those LTLW nukas for my Warboss and Mega Armor, the one with the edible heroes standing alone. Decent is saying he has one of the dreads. Sci-Fi saying ice hockey team nobz. What a great idea. There you go, Si. Knock yourself out. Keith said, any of you get the Adrian Woods dread when you could order bits? Did you build an Adrian Wood Dreadnought back in the day? I remember it was made out of like all sorts, like trebuchets or various bits and pieces.
No, I didn't. And
turrets. There were some dreads I remember being made out of turrets. But this is back in the mail order days. Do you remember that when you could order individual bits?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Blast from the past. I never really availed of it back in the day. I only bought a couple of bits. There would be, what was there? Something of Legends? Units of Legends or something like that?
The Regiments of Renown?
No, not Regiments. So Regiments of Renown were units in Warhammer Fantasy. It was something, they had a name for units that you could still buy when they made metal. And it would be the previous iteration of stuff that was currently out.
Oh, right.
And you could sort of you could order them. And they'd sort of make them. On demand. I forget the term they had for them. I think they were something like that. Units. I know the Regiments of Renown, what you're talking about, but it wasn't that. They had a term for it, like legendary units or something like that. So I was able to order a load of the old Warhammer Fantasy dwarves back in the day, like the Dragon Slayers and stuff like that. It was pretty sweet, man. So that was the only thing. I didn't really buy bits, sadly.
I didn't. I love bits now, though.
This is the thing, yeah. I'd
Find myself. In fact, the other night I was kicking myself. There's a bit site I go to which I'm not going to disclose because then I'll do no bits left.
You don't want to blow it up. This is like telling people about your local chicken wing spot, and then it's like, Jesus, this place is packed all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to keep it to yourself.
And I went on there the other day because I was, that was it. I've got a little box knocking around somewhere. There it is. This has got me bits in for the Stompa.
Ooh.
And I've stuck the seat on the back of that gun. I forgot what's the seat
off. Go in there, we'll blow you up there.
It's the seat off the back of the Gorkamorka.
Oh yeah, the seat off the back of the Gorkamorka gun arm, isn't it?
I've repositioned the drum a bit.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And it's going to be positioned. I think. I don't know. I don't know what I think. I was going to make a little rig for it to hang in between his legs.
Well, like a wang cannon, like the old epic Gargans.
I just don't know if it's a little bit. And I wanted another drum.
Oh
You know,
yes. Oh, okay. So very
like
Dusk Till
testicles.
Dawn, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sex Machine from Dust. That's exactly who I was quoted when I was
Nice.
telling me mate about it. I just don't know if it's too on the nose.
Man, that's
Like
brilliant.
a great big
I remember
swinging.
watching that on VHS tape as a kid. It's like, oh, what's this, me brother? What's this in the back of the press? Buried deep. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
past all the Disney stuff. Ah, we'll stick this on. Fucking, fucking. Great crack.
but I mean, it's sort of
What's the blue? What's the blue bit that you have there? See the side of his arm?
there's some Robotech little vehicles,
Oh,
the main
nice.
bodies. I've used the tracks and all that stuff, so I've stuck them on because you can the arms. I'll just grab an arm. Well, I've got a screw in the top there just to make taking the lid off a bit easier.
Nice.
So the arm,
Yeah.
so it's got plastic rod inside it as well. So the arm slides up into there, and then I'm not a cowboy. I just put that there for a second. You put the little cocktail stick in like a peg,
Yeah, so it's a pin.
and then his arms there.
And it stays in.
It's just for transport, really.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Well, that's
a
the
bugger.
thing with
He's a
any
shot.
really big builds. Like, if you're doing Stompas and stuff, you really need to think of sub-assemblies
Yeah.
for transport. You know what I mean? I think that's sort of a lesson that's hard learned by people who typically
Mhm.
don't travel. It's when you do eventually get around to traveling somewhere, it's like, oh, yeah, how am I actually going to move this thing?
Well, I'm contemplating. You see that bar in the middle,
Yeah.
at the bottom? That's like the hinge for his legs.
Mm.
Right. So I'm thinking if I just sawed that in half,
Yeah.
and then if I can get a bit of plastic tube that's a bit bigger to attach, actually attach it in there, the nose legs could just slide through which is his old shoulder. If you can see there's old shoulder mounts.
Yeah, it's your shoulders.
And
Yeah.
just into a lot, yeah. So I can basically take the legs off as well because he, obviously, I can't even get him really shot off the time.
You'll have to get a baby chair for it when you're driving to somewhere.
Yeah, well, at least at the minute, I can sit a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you can, son. Put a belt on him.
There you are, son. There's your Capri Sun. Sit your arse down there, will you?
I need to secure those legs to stop them from swinging because they've always moved, but they're moving easier.
Ah, right. Okay. The fit isn't as tight as it used to be.
Yeah, and as I put more and more weight on top,
Yeah.
he's just going to overbalance. Especially since one of the ideas to go on the top is a weird boy tower, which I was going to make by just cladding a plastic plumbing pipe with. I did think gravel, and now I'm thinking cork. I've got a little bag of cork bits. I could probably.
Oh, you're gonna do it like a stonework, is it?
Yeah, I thought stone just because it's weird, isn't it?
It's very old school though. That's very old school with like because the weird
It
boy
is,
towers
yeah.
used to be like wooden towers with like slate roofs, and it just
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it'll have a conical slate roof on it as well.
yeah, very second ed, very old school, very cool.
Yeah,
one.
I love all that stuff. It's like you wouldn't expect to see a stone tower on top.
No,
Well, would you? I mean, Imperial does it with the big cathedrals.
Well, this is true. If the Imperials can build their big cathedrals out of bleeding
We can
concrete
build
and
we can
metal,
build
I'm
a
sure
wonky wobbly
Ork
stone
slate
tower.
roofs, aren't too much of a stretch.
Well, aye.
You have the comment section again. Scar may be AI generated. The real Scar would not would have a BattleTech background. I would do, but we're using Discord, and Discord wants to shake you down for money to be able to do your own background nowadays for some reason, because they're bastards. But, hey ho. Keith is saying, do kind of the same thing, Sid. I got my Beast Boss done, so maybe I can get back to working on my Woolly Squiggot. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's good.
What else have we got here? Gitman saying he's painting the commando knob because he earned himself a paint job after bashing the final 2 wounds off of a Knight Gallant. Nice. I think he deserves an L medal as well there, Gitman. Don't be just giving him a paint job. Give him an L shiny medal to prove to the rest of the boys.
And the name.
And a name as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Tommy Mack is saying, I remember buying the Chaos Lord and Juggernaut from mail order bits. Ooh, nice. I remember there was a couple of miniatures where if you priced up, like you could get the, I think it was, because I remember the GW staffers. It was me and I was talking to two GW staffers and figured out that you could order the Chaos Minotaur in bits and it worked out. So if you bought the individual bits of the Chaos Minotaur, it worked out cheaper than buying the Chaos Minotaur box,
All right.
which was funny. It was only like a couple of quid, like 2 or 3 quid cheaper, but it was like,
Yeah.
this is okay. Yeah, I could see this work. Yeah, it was just fun. Yeah, Tommy Mack is saying it's not, but it's proper. The guns coming out of the face sort of remind me of the at. That is cool. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, they're not actually guns. They're just the struts to support the big jaw.
Oh,
and
the
that
jaw,
goes
that's
on.
right, yes. Are you going to be putting the jaw on, or are you going to be doing your own custom jaw?
Oh, yeah, I've got the jaw. It goes on. I did have a different jaw, but I've went back to the actual one it
The
comes
original.
with. It just seems to fit better.
Yeah.
Although face guns are always pretty cool. I'm not going to do the eyes. I'd sometimes put like an eye mark on it or something.
The
But I'm
old
gonna.
Bayloi.
I mean, I've got this literally this much space inside it, so I'm gonna light it up as well.
Are you going to do a back box for the head? So another way, it's open behind it. Are you going to do a box behind it, like? Or what do
I
you think?
don't know whether to put I was going to put some more stuff around the gap, so it's not quite as open. Just
Yeah.
maybe some like tags and sort of dangly bits and what have you. And I thought if I put some sort of light in it, I want the eyes to light up.
Yeah.
So I was just going to cut a hole in the back of the nut and stick like some LEDs in there and maybe have it lit up so there's no cracks around it, because I've been with sprue glue and painted all the cracks. So there might be a glow, but it'll not be a light. Right? And I thought you might get some, if I can somehow put a filter on it so it's not glaring, it might just give a glow from round the head.
Just this green internal glow emitting
Yeah.
at different points. It's like, I get the feeling this thing's very radioactive.
Yeah. Do you know what? If I like it, I learned this from my pumpkin carving days. I'll just go and I'll just sand.
Oh, tin the plastic a bit.
Yeah, just thin the plastic so you do get a nice glow in certain spots in that.
Nice.
But if I'm putting some lights on, I need to put a lot of lights on, so the whole top will have to be fucking
done up like a
lit up
bleeding
as well,
walking
yeah.
Christmas tree. Love it. You could do, I suppose, like if you drilled into the back of the head and put like red LEDs for the eyes. If you did do an internal cowl then and just didn't put a bottom in it, you could have like red eyes and then have like a green glow behind the head.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of the green glow, but yeah, with red eyes would be quite cool.
Yeah, contrast and like instead of it just being all the one color. That sounds cool, man.
It's the only issue a problem I've got is the top, the lid, which is just a base at the minute, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just build on top of this. Is I want to keep that separate so I can get the other stuff inside.
For when the battery dies.
At lunch.
Or turn it on and off.
Yeah. And so that'll be able to transport separately. So for that to have LEDs, I mean, I could always just stick something separate on the bottom.
Yeah, just underneath. Just bleeding.
You know what I mean? Yeah, fuck it.
Gaffer tape or glue it. Yeah, because normally even now when you get like those cheap bleeding Christmas light sets, it's just a battery box.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you can mount that to the underside of it and nobody will be the wiser. As long as you still have access to the batteries, you're laughing.
Yeah.
I have a few more comments here. Keita Seno loved their idea, said might need another magazine on the other side for balancing. He was saying about the Wang cannon.
Yeah, and that's what I went on the site to get, as I was saying. And so I thought, actually, Stompas, they might have loads of bits because, with the box and everything. And they did, but not the drum. It sold out.
So many have had the same idea, you see, huh?
Yeah, so I'm thinking I might just cut it off and then half it. And then just and then just flip the back piece around to be the other front piece, and then just, bodge up the back of it with some plastic card.
Sure, nobody looks at the back end anyway, you know what I mean? It's all business up front.
This is it.
Voodoo's Fairy was saying we said a name, but he doesn't like names. So the unnamed commando is being painted up by the Gitman. He's saying he's not going to give the knob a name because I don't feel like trying to remember the names or paint the name on the rim because I can't be bothered with that effort. It's not much effort. It's actually hilarious when you do that. Like we have, is Bob the knob knocking around? Yeah, see, look, it's not that hard. Just give him a name, Bob.
Here we go. This is going back to Rogue Trader days.
Oh, gives a look there. Street Orc. Nice.
You had Vincent Black Shadow bike with a Rogue Trader Orc riding it.
Sweet. They did a Vincent Black Shadow bike because wasn't it John Blanche had a bike and they sort of were like, we'll do a bike like John Blanche's or something like that. Wasn't that was the origin of it? Or?
Something like that. So, it was a nice little bike. It had a ridiculous sidecar. It was like it's no Space Marine just sort of like sitting in a walk next to them, just sort of like skidding across over the ground with a little wheel on.
I had one of them at one point. I bought a lot of old Marines off of a friend many years ago. When I remember having it before I sold it off. In fact, it was like terracotta red because it was the original Blood Angels. So they were more of a, they weren't this light red. They were sort of more of a dried blood color. But they changed that, which is another tidbit of information there.
Mm-hmm.
But a hobby history. So if we're saying good reason to get some quality street box, keep the wrappers and try different filters.
Yeah, sweetie filter.
Yeah, but they don't.
I don't know
they don't do them in plastic anymore. They're all paper now. They used to be plastic, and you'd be able to do filters. That's not the case anymore. So I'm afraid the times have ruined that potential conversion.
Times have made a mockery of you, mate. Like I don't know anybody who ever threw out a metal sweetie tin. You know, Rose's Quality Street. Those tins, you saved them. We had them in our house for years. As my mum used them as cake tins, and that was how I made a cake. But nobody keeps the plastic ones.
No, nobody. I mean, you can. They do like special ones which are more expensive, which are the metal ones, but they're whopper. It's like, here, you want a kilo of chocolate for you and the family, but it's like 20 quid, and you're like, oh, maybe for the nostalgia factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those plastic ones, nobody holds on to them.
No.
Nobody. They're bleeding shocking. Who's rocked up? War Guts Morky Mischief is here. That's Chris Guts face punch. Yeah, what's the crack? So if I was saying if you can't be bothered to remember the name, call him Clint Eastwood, the man with no name from Spaghetti Westerns.
Tommy's asking what colour I'm going to paint the Stompa. I'm thinking blue.
Blue. Ooh. Are you starting a Deffskullz contingent then, or?
I've got a few. Mostly, like I say, I've always painted the models for what clan I think they'd be best at.
Best suited.
Just suited. Yeah, and that's it. Best at, best suited for.
Yeah.
Like me shooty units were always Bad Moons. Me crumpy units were always Goths. Deffskullz, I've got a couple of looted, like a Bane Blade and a Predator type little tanky tank with a couple of those. 3 Death Dreads, Jackie Khan, Judge Death Dread, and the one that looks like Chasing Butterflies. I forget his name. I didn't paint on his base, see? Just more sort of thievy ones. It's Deffskullz and Commandos, I'll get Blood Axes. I'll mix it up a bit. I've always thought was. I've always liked the multi-clan war.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense lore-wise. As your grows, and as you rampage across the stars and beat up other bleeding warbands, they're going to get folded in. So, your mono as an idea is it's probably rarer to come across,
Yeah. A lot of me mechs were Deffskullz as well. Yeah. Leonardo Da Vinci and Thieving Orkin. They're both Deffskullz.
Apologies, I'm trying to glue a metal scorcher on without either gluing it to myself or losing it in the process, and it does not seem to want to play ball at the moment. Sci-fi is saying, boo to Quality Street. Oh no, God forbid. They're trying to save the planet one wrapper at a time, mate. What can you do? Have we talked? Are we now talk about what we're doing next? Did we say what we were doing next at the next meet?
I think we've mentioned it, yeah.
We've mentioned it. I think we said we're going to be doing Gorkamorka. So we might as well talk a little bit about that. What mob would you be?
Well, I'll go first.
Go on.
What is Gorkamorka? Right, as you were.
We won't look. What we'll do is we'll wait until Dame for the next one, right? Because Dame loves Gorkamorka, and Jesus Christ, you know, if we went into detail doing a deep dive on Gorkamorka without him, he'll go mad. But basically, it's Mad Max, 40k Mad Max for orcs. That's.
I know the basic sort of premises to what it is and how they interact with each other. Like, you know, the diggers and the digging. And I know a lot about the shovels, you know. But I'd sort of like stopped like any sort of hobbying around that time when it came out.
Yeah.
Maybe a year before so, and it was just the times when you go on holiday and you're looking for something to read on the plane or something, and you'd pop into Smith's
and grab a white dwarf.
Yeah. And I'd grab a white dwarf, and I'd be looking, going, "What the fuck? This isn't fair." You know, there's loads of orc stuff. And I always felt a bit, missed out there.
Well, yeah, we're making up for it now, buds. Hey.
You know, I do think some of the, and I apologise in advance. You know, I do look at them because I don't have the rose tinted. I know I'm literally wearing rose tinted, like they're orange.
Well, they're not quite rose, but yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't got that kind of. Yeah, I used to love building and painting them because I've never. I couldn't tell you what any of them are called. But I've seen different versions of that, and I'm pretty sure I can identify a truck and a buggy. A buggy's like a door on wheels. A truck is like 4 doors on wheels.
Yeah.
There are lots of flat platforms and that. I know there's a reason for some of that, but some of the vehicles look a little bit dirty.
Would you say twee? Would twee be? I don't know. Like...
Twee, just a little bit. I don't know if it's the vehicles because there's not a massive amount to them.
No.
So you didn't. So because of that, you notice the crew a lot more.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
so
it's just like
facial expression. I love how your expression is like, yeah, nail hit on head there, bud.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I could do. I'm not having one of them.
No, you can definitely.
I think it's the same one for the bikers as well. I may be wrong.
Well, so this is the thing. Like some of the conversion kits were literally like, it was a plastic vehicle, and then it would be a metal blister pack to change out the crew. So like the harpoon launchers and stuff like that for some of the buggies. I don't think did the driver change? Some of them it was like the top half of the driver. You'd get a different torso for the top half of the driver and stuff. Or the bikers as well. There was kits like where you'd get a blister pack and it'd be a different biker torso and stuff like that. So they did take that into account. But that was when the Ork truck came out. It was back in the 90s. You have to remember, we didn't, like, they were a lot more restricted in their plastic kits back then with what they could do. So I think that's sort of, we're seeing symptoms, a sign of the times back then, if you get me. Because we didn't have a battle wagon anymore at that stage. This would, like, Gorkamorka would have been around just as I got in the hobby. Because I remember seeing it on the shelves and I remember it being played in stores. But I didn't play it myself. I didn't go into the stores that often as a kid. Tommy Mack is saying the Gorkamorka artwork is much better than the models. It depends. Some of the models are absolutely ace. Some of them are it's very hit and miss. Some of them are very ooh, and others are like, ooh, very nice. You know what I mean? Just depends. Sci-Fi was basically saying Gorkamorka is Necromunda but with orcs and vehicles. Recently revisited the Shadow Wars Armageddon. Recently revisited. Jesus, that was about 6 years ago, I think, 7 years ago. But yeah, it's basically Necromunda. Think Necromunda with vehicles, which is not what they've done with Necromunda now, though, haven't they?
Pretty much, yeah, ash wastes and all that, yeah.
I wasn't even aware of this. I was like peripherally paying attention to Necromunda, and it's like, oh, this would make a great war buggy. Is it in the Imperial Guard? No, it's not in the Imperial Guard. Where the bleeding hell is it? It's like, oh, it's Necromunda.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Is that the I can't remember what it's called.
It's
the
got
little
a weird
6-wheeled or 8-wheeled.
Yeah. It's like an 8-wheeler or a 6-wheeler.
Yeah.
Like desert all-terrain vehicle with a turret on the back. The turret looks naff, but the rest of it looks pretty sweet. Tommy Mac, the Super Grippo Tours advertisement buggy art. It's just great. It is. It's brilliant.
I've got one knocking good somewhere.
The art for the game is brilliant. So should give plenty of conversion inspiration. Some of the original models are a bit small and some of them are a bit naff. But overall, I think a lot of it's good. Like a lot of the Rebel Grot stuff, really good stuff. Some of the characters, like the Banner Waver and the Red Gobbo and stuff like that. I was like, I found my Red Gobbo there today. I'm just trying to see if I put him within arm's reach on the desk, but I don't think I did. Oh, there's the head honcho. So that's the head honcho. He'd be like the mob leader for the.
Oh, right. He's totally different to the one I was thinking of.
But the Red Gobbo is the one with the stick in the air. But I don't have him to hand. But yeah, no, there's some.
Well, I've got him there.
You've got it. Do you have the plastic one or do you have the metal one?
No, it's metal. It's never seen the inside of a GW facility. Put it that way.
Right. Okay. Say no more. Yeah, give us a look. Whoop. Ah,
Although
you
I've given
sword. Nice.
Yeah, the stick snapped off, so I've given him a sword and I've given him a little commissar hat as well.
I think there's just a weak point in either the molding or the sculpt because nearly everyone's miniature snaps at the same point, where it's the hand holding the stick, and it just breaks there. There's just so many of them just break there. I think that happened in one of the games, didn't it? Where Dame loves throwing his dice around and they're sizable enough. And I think he broke Artie's Red Gobbo. Sorry for the spoilers. and Artie was not pleased. I may have had a flight stand destroyed on one of me Deffskullz, but I'm not holding that grudge at all. Jesus. Tell me, Mac is saying Gorkamorka was supposed to be Ash Race originally, wasn't it? But they threw orcs into it and rushed it out. I think so. It was done in like 6 or 8 weeks. If you talk to Andy Chambers about it, it's like Jesus. You're pretty much like rekindling sort of suppressed memories for him. So it was a quick turnover, and it was a bit of a commercial failure for Games Workshop back in the day. But you were about to say something, Sid.
Oh no, I was just going to say about people rolling dice. It's funny how it can be quite a divisive thing. Some people tend to put lots of what I've heard it referred to as putting a lot of English on it, which I don't really understand.
A lot of English? I've never heard this before.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it was some Americans. It was a tabletop Titan lads. We'll say put some English on it, and we'll give them a fancy flicks. And then I did watch a bat rep on some channel where the lad he shook his dice, and then he put his hand over the table
and dropped them,
and then just sort of like the table there, and just went.
Go away, Oda. Go away. You cheeky hero.
I'm triggered. No. You know, he was rolling. He wasn't sort of like, it wasn't like, oh, look, all sixes again.
Nah, you have to give him a good roll. Like.
It was just so infuriating to watch. It was the slowness in which he took his hand away as well.
This is very suspicious here. Very suspicious. See, the problem I have is when I'm rolling dice, I'm usually rolling like a handful of dice.
Like this.
And do you know what? For the laughs, when I was a little bit younger, I actually bothered to see how many dice I could hold with one hand. And those little D6 dice, I can get 100 of them held in one hand. Now, I have to be careful because 1 or 2 will fall off. So I figured with the 2 of them, I could roll quite a lot of dice. And usually when I'm rolling the dice, it's just... it's just fucking dice everywhere. You know, especially with when it was like 30 boy mobs and there was 4 attacks a piece. It was just like there was attacks just fucking throwing dice at people.
You don't have to go too far back to get to that sort of level, do you? Really? I mean, was 30 boys 8th or 9th? I know it was in 8th, but was it in 9th?
I don't know. I think they went in 9th, didn't they? Yes, I think so. Because I was happy.
But even bikes with like 10 shots each in units of 9, with an extra sort of shot per gun, of which there is 18 in certain like factions, and that 108 shots. You were like, yeah,
Jesus.
And they went, oh no, now the twin linked.
I find that weird. Like twin link was originally re-roll and misses, then it went to like double shots for weapons. Because I remember like assault cannon Razorbacks being the hotness then. Nobody really used them beforehand. I think they were like 6 shots or 4 shots a piece, and then they went up to like 12 shots then when they doubled twin link. And I was like, oh, okay. And now it's re-rolling wounds. So it's literally been like nearly everything at this stage. And I think this is part of what I've learned from playing our league is so much of it. There's a learning curve when a new edition comes out because they change the rules enough. And it's happening so often now that it's not like other games. So like with Battletech, once you've learned, you've gone through that learning curve of the basics. Like you can go away for 5 years, come back.
Yeah.
You just need to go through a round or two to knock the rust off and you know how to play again. So you're banking it. The time you're investing in the game, you're banking. Whereas the way that 40k is now, like I found myself, I was like, the last time I played a game of 40k was with you lads at the last Warbot me. So that was 9th Ed, wasn't it? That was like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And then
it was 2 year November, yeah.
Yeah, I literally hadn't played any until then. So then when I started playing now, I was like, oh, well, I have to learn from scratch. Well, not completely from scratch because I've wargamed before, but I relearning that game and relearning what's strong and what isn't strong because stats have changed. Weapon profiles have changed.
That's even worse. Yeah. When there's the odd little, it's the minute details that have been tweaked and changed and what have you, then it's like that little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Whereas if you're starting from scratch, you'd jump in sort of, teach me, whereas you're going, I know what I'm doing to a degree, and you go with something that just doesn't turn out that it works like that anymore.
Yeah.
I put it down to you, if you ever played Tekken as a kid or something like that, that if you knew a few moves, 1 or 2 moves, you'd often get beaten by somebody who's just hammering the buttons in a haphazard manner because you've got that little bit of knowledge to think, I know what I think I'm doing. I think I know what I think. No, you haven't got a clue. If you were mint at it, different. But if you just had a little bit of knowledge, dangerous thing. You gotta get Zangief all over the place.
Jesus.
I know he wasn't in Tekken.
Street Fighter, wasn't
he? He was, yeah.
No.
I can't remember any of the Tekken fellas. I must have been Tekken any notice.
Oh, Jesus. We don't have. I don't think that's a stay on target. We need something else for that. We need a new one for fucking dad jokes. We really do.
There's enough of them. You just 2.5 hours of that shite.
Sure, isn't that what people tune in for? Let's see what's happening in the comment section. So if I was saying it's the Elysium buggy from Imperial Armor H, stolen to be used as a plastic kit for Necromunda. Glad this plastic and finally affordable, in brackets, sort of. I think I looked up the price of it. I wouldn't say affordable is exactly the term I'd use for most things these days. Jesus Christ. I think that was another thing that really shocked me, Sid, is like I hadn't bought kits for a few years. So then when I went to go look at the price of kits, I was like, how much? What? Fucking what? Fucking
yeah.
50 quid for that? What? How much is a battle wagon now?
Mate, I had 20 euro away. It was
and you came back. Fucking
got me $5. I'm gonna get a couple of blisters.
Oh man.
No, you're fucking not.
What was one? I went in to buy, I think, 5 or 6 paints. I handed 20 euros. This was a couple of years ago now at this stage. I think I bought 5 or 6 paints and I handed in 20 euros. Maybe 5. And I got like 2 quid change or something, or 2 quid something change. And I was just like, I remember looking at the money in my hand, and then I looked down at the paints again. I was like, what? I didn't say anything to the guy, but he clearly figured out I was just in awe at the price.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Don't get me wrong, if there's a specific GW color you want, yeah, some of them are decent, but in general, I don't buy them. There's so much competition. There's so much choice. There's so much choice now.
Well, there was a point after I'd left the hobby the first time round, and before I got back into it, in that big old 20-odd year gap, where I always used to go to the Games Workshop in Newcastle, on Clayton Street, 63 Clayton Street, I believe it was. And then I think that moved to somewhere else in town, and I was walking past the one at the Metro Centre that had sprung up, and I clocked it, and I wanted paint. I don't know if I was thinking about painting something or what, but I remember going in and just asking about the paint sets, because the first paint set I got was, they used to do the creature colour one, which was the red one with the golden demon on the front, like giving it a bit of painting. And that had like, I think it was 6 or 9, it was 9 paints, but they were like all your primaries, your reds, blues, greens, yellows, the main ones. But I didn't have that one. I had the monster colour one, which was things like orc skin and hobgoblin flesh and, more muted sort of colours and that. But that's what I had. So I knew basically that wasn't enough. If you have one little set, it's not enough. So I went in, I was asking about the paint sets. And I said, do you have a set that's got like a few more paints in? He goes, well, we've got the one that's got, it's got pretty much half the paints we do, all the ones you'll ever need, really. And I was like, all right. And he got it out. And it was like in a big box. It was a big box. And it could have been a mega set. And I went, all right. And he opened it and it was all these pounds. That's kind of, how much is that? I went, £150. And I basically just staggered out the shop, clutching my chest. I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean,
would have been a mega paint set, yeah. He was,
as I say it now, it means nothing. It was done in Flint.
He was trying to meet his KPI, his key performance.
Yeah.
He was trying to hit them with you on that day. Oh, you come in for a few paints, have you? Well, have I got the box set for you? Bang! As the table shakes.
Yeah, it was massive. But I mean, £150. I just thought, what the absolute fuck? There's not a chance.
Mad. Absolutely mad.
I mean, if I add all the paint prices up now, then yeah, I did that a while ago.
You don't
and it was
notice
scary.
as much. You don't notice it when you're buying it one or two. Like on my lunch break, I go down to a model shop in the city centre, Mark's Models, and I buy like AK paint pots, and there might be £3 or £3 something or whatever. But I don't mind, like, you know what I mean. But it's when you go to buy a load of them. But even then, you can get box sets, and they're a little bit cheaper in box sets. I literally have just thrown out the boxes for like the Rust box set I bought for AK paints. Well done on me being prepared about talking about paints, but hey ho. But
I think I've only bought about three boxes. I bought a GW one right at the start. I got an army painter one sent to us with the speed paints, they call them.
Yeah.
First edition. You know, the ones that if you shout at them too loud, they fall off the model.
They fall off the model, yeah.
I found them spot on. I don't mind them.
Yeah.
And I bought I think it was another army painter one. It was like a vampire one. It just had loads of shades of bone and greys and some reds. And I found it like with a brush and everything. I found it on Amazon for £10. And I was like, yeah. Can't have gone wrong at that.
How could you not at that price? Like, Jesus, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other than that, every paint out of the 4 boxes sitting next to us are all crammed full of paints. They've all just been separate individual purchases. And I use about 10% of them on a regular basis.
Oh, nice. Well, I find
the rest of it slowly drying out.
I seem to have just collected paints, and then I don't know, for some reason, like there's probably like 20 or 30 paints I use on the regular from Yorks, because I have like the Orc skin colours. Like, I can tell you off the top of my head 3 colours I use all the time, GW colours from Yorks. Eshin Grey for the base of the greys and even the base themselves. Zandri Dust for their camo, their clothing and stuff like that. And then I use Castellan Green for the green colours, for like military greens. And that's not even their skins. I used like Decor Drab and, you know, there's a few others. Etonian camo shade. How's that for a mouthful? Or in Vallejo, it's just dark green wash. See, so much easier.
Didn't know what the D Spanish, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it when you find a product that does exactly what you were looking for. I was like, right, I like this Etonian camo shade, but by Jesus, I hate the price of it. I was like, right, what else can I find? Dark green wash by my, Vallejo. Banging, absolutely banging. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to just try and find tones that match up the skin tones for me orcs. I had great crack actually airbrushing the AK paints to do the Stone Boys. Like, they were all AKs. I think I did the black was like AK, and then Vallejo and the grey, but the rest of them You know, your red, orange, yellow, and then up into white. That was all AK paints, and it was good. I enjoyed it, and I've been obsessed with Flames ever since, but I've gotten a bit distracted with playing MechWarrior 5. I blame sci-fi. Blame sci-fi and his bad influence. But I'm actually got I want to try out painting techniques because I watch a lot of scale modeling stuff. And I want to, so I got myself like a Spitfire. The lads of the model shop gave me a Spitfire because I just want to try a different painting technique with the airbrush. If you look at scale modeling, they do something. There's like pre-shading and under-shading where they'll airbrush on the joins, you know what I mean? And then they come over and do a lighter coat. So I've just, I found that like airbrushing for the meat has made me want to try out different techniques that are traditionally done with scale modeling, but I think they'd be applicable to the wargaming stuff easily enough. Like, have you found any techniques that aren't typically in wargaming and you've used them in wargaming?
For painting?
Or just painting, or if there's even hobby stuff as well, like, or any little tricks. Has there been anything that typically you wouldn't think wargaming, but you've found it and you found it's like super useful? Has there been anything like that for you?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell because I suppose with a lot of the, when I first got back in, I mean, back in the day, I mean, yes, now, for example, I undercoat, whereas in the past I would just paint direct onto metal. Like if I did undercoat, that would be thinning a bit of paint with water and slapping it on, like generally a white, something like that. It was fucking terrible. To nothing, absolutely nothing. But when I got back in, I remember the first mini I painted. In fact, I saw him the other day. He's about there, and it's when I bought the paint set. The fella in the shop, he gave us 4 little boxes. Each one had a mini in.
Right.
Just said, there you go, take those. You can have a blast on them. If you want to buy some, just come back. He knew what he was doing. He might as well be giving us little bags of heroin.
Forced
so
hit spray. Forced, yeah.
And I fucked off with me 4 Primaris Space Marines on highly detailed bases. And I'd looked up a YouTube tutorial and I painted one pretty much exactly as it said to. I would say box art, but it didn't really look box art. It's not bad though.
Nice.
Is an ultramarine, and I painted it, and I looked at it, and I thought, I think that's the best mini I've ever painted.
Oh, nice.
It's up there in the top. It was up there in the top 3, certainly. I've got a couple back in the day I actually really, really put effort in and was quite pleased with them. But I was like, I really like that. And I haven't like touched a brush for like 20 years or something. So I went back and I bought a box of tactical marines. And I painted them like ultramarines, and I thought, I never want to paint a fucking space marine again. They were utterly fuck. Oh yeah, now I get to do vents. It was just tedious. So I went in and bought a box of I went to get a box of nobz. We didn't have any. So I ended up with a box of boys. And I picked up one of the start collecting boxes, which had like the boys, the nobz, Death Dread, Pain Boy.
Yeah.
Bought that.
Not the previous Star Connecting box set. That's actually the one before now, isn't it? Or was it the previous?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been. Yeah. No, it's the previous. Yeah,
it was a good one. I must have bought that about 4 times.
It was a decent one. I have one, I think, stashed in the shed somewhere. It was good. Sorry, I'm trying to pin claws, as you can tell. It's just like, remember that.
I didn't know what it was.
It's like, oh yes, the old nose
Yeah,
right there.
Both nostrils at once.
Wario over here. Hey! But yeah, I don't know. I used to collect Space Wars back in the day, but then I didn't like the direction they went with the lore with them in 4th edition. And then at that stage, I decided I was going Orc, so I was just like, oh, I'm selling them. And I had a massive Space Wolf army because it was the first army I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely massive Space Wolf army, and I just sold it off, man. I was like, nah, I've had enough of this. And you know what? I have never regretted selling them off because I look at the Marines now and I'm like, they would have been all forced born at this stage, so they, you know what I mean?
Aye, fair play.
They've all been phased out. So I was about 10 years ahead of the curve, thank Christ. Right, so I have my brass wire here. I'm going to snip it and then glue this bleeding thing back together. Or I'm going to glue it on first and then snip it. That way it doesn't go flying and missing. Yay! Because that tends to be what happens.
Yeah, it does happen quite a bit.
So it's like, Jesus, I do think it's like little scraps of rubbish or whatever, and it'll be like half of a chop or a slug. Like there's fucking, look, there's one there, look. See? That, just on the floor, like, you know.
Little scraps.
Little scraps. Orc boy with 2 choppers. What else is on this for? 20 quid. Hey! Little odds and sods.
Yeah, I did actually buy more. I bought 3 of the aggressors.
The aggressors.
I just thought the model looked quite cool. I bought them and I painted those again with a tutorial.
Are those
At this point, I was going off piste with my orcs. No, they're the ones with the power fists and the flamers or bolter gauntlets.
Ah, okay. I know what you're on about.
Gravis, I think it's Gravis armor. I bought those and I painted them as salamanders just because I quite like the look. And I did do some Terminators as well, which I've done as Imperial fists, in 5 different shades of yellow. So I was sort of trying to find the best way of doing the yellow.
Yeah.
Did
you then find the best yellow and use it for your bad moons?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. and then painted all the Terminators, give them a coat of I think it was Warp Lightning, and basically just that they're all green. So like, there we go. And all the highlights came through, and I was like, well, I can get it in. Salamanders. Nice. So I stuck with Salamanders, and I've got about 4,000 points painted up. And more if I just pull my finger out and finish off a few tanks I've started about a year ago. But it's just,
Space Marine.
I find like with the Space Marine stuff, I'm sure I've said this before, I'm now at a point where unless something amazing comes out, I'm all right. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want any more. I've got enough.
That like? How did you end up in that situation with them?
I like a bargain, and I started. It was the Age of what was it called? Dark Imperium.
The Dark Imperium box set.
And I thought, oh yeah, quite a bit in that, don't you? So I bought all of the box sets. You know, the big one, the medium one, First Contact was in there. Those were 3 of them, and I ended up with shitloads of Space Marines basically. And then I've done the same with Indomitus, and more recently the Leviathan one. Although I haven't painted any of those ones yet. But I've finished all those. I ended up with shitloads of Space Marines. I've still got the Necrons on sprue. I've still got the Death Guard on sprue. Although I've also bought a few boxes of Death Guard. Like, I've got Mortarion and fucking 2 the big tanks. And
so you were going to do like a Death Guard army, were you?
Yeah, that's the plan at some point.
Oh, you're
but
still
it's
doing
like,
it? Oh, well then, if that's the case...
I still want to go ahead and do it just for a bit of variety, really, when I'm playing and that.
I should say that
because,
the next time.
I can get sometimes...
that magazine, do you remember? They did a magazine and there was a few Death Guard bits in it. In fact, yeah, Jesus, look there you are, look. I've been sorting through my bits boxes. I should throw you some. So there's like fucking, I don't know, these Death Guard.
Yeah.
There's 1 or 2 bits
I'll
there.
With all the rest of the green plastic.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why I need so many different varieties for armies. Because I sometimes get 2 games in a year, so I need as many as possible. But I just thought it'd be something different to do, and. Although I've hit what feels like a natural end point for the Space Marines, I don't need any more. I can play them any way I want. I've got lots of fast bikey stuff and jump pack stuff. I've got lots of tanks. I've got lots of dreads. I've got lots of just dudes. I'm just making duplicates. Whereas with orcs, I'm not making duplicates. No. Everything's different. Even if I only need 1 data sheet for the entire fucking army, everything's unique in there, and that's.
But there's a lot more creative freedom with orcs, even if the difficult miniatures are shifting, that it becomes a bit harder to chop and change things. Once you've got the skill level now where you'll put your hand to any kit and be like, I can make that orky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can't find a kit that haven't with another faction that I haven't already turned orky.
Yeah.
Which I think can be turned orky. I don't like Eldari stuff. Is orky stuff. I think the minute you got like
Yeah.
The minute you got half a dozen orcs on there, it's going to buckle anyway. It's made like, you know, spindly shite. You know, never mind bumps. Right? It's just too flimsy. If it floats, I'm not really interested.
No.
If it's a hover tank, like so your Tau stuff and some of the AdMech, if it's on big legs, mint. But if it's floaty with like hovercraft or those Primaris tanks, I don't know. But if it's tracks or wheels or legs, yeah, I'll have a shot at it. But there's no natural ending point, orcs. When can you tell us when you get the point where you go, yes, I have enough?
No.
No.
I'm still buying stuff. And I still have loads of stuff to finish off. I don't think there is a natural end progression with collecting orcs, because everything is a potential project for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why that's all I'm bothered with now is orcs. I literally have purged off anything that I've collected. I had a load of kill team stuff. I give that away. Give it all away, man. Anything that isn't just like 40k orcs, I give away pretty much for 40k, because I'm like, it's 40k orcs and it's BattleTech, and it's like, I'm really big into BattleTech and I love playing it and I love going to tournaments and stuff. But I hold on to my orcs because I'm like, oh yeah, no, every now and then I might want to do a conversion, or I'll play games with the lads. Like, I'll never get rid of them because they're fun. Like, even if GW was to collapse into a dark hole tomorrow, you know what I mean, the company finished up and they were no longer making miniatures, I'd still have me 40k orcs that I have now, and I'd be able to do kit bashes. Like, I've enough of them to keep me going until retirement, you know.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So it's just make the hobby around. There was a comment there in a 40k orc community group on Facebook that someone was posting up about, like, they built a buggy and they were like, oh, should I put the base on it? And people are like, yeah, that's the tournament rules, you have to. And my comment was, leave it off. It looks better without it. And tell anybody who insists that you have to zog off. You know what I mean? You've bought the miniature. It's your property. Do what you want with it. Like, you know what I mean? Where people were saying you can magnetize it and stuff like that. So there are ways around stuff. But ultimately, when we buy these things, they're ours. You know what I mean? You don't let others dictate what you want to do with them. Within reason. You don't take the piss. You know? You don't pull out a battle wagon size miniature and go, oh yeah, that's a truck, by the way. You know what I mean? Not aimed at anyone in particular, huh?
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Oh, it's this game, it's a truck, or no, it's a battle. Like, maybe it's a truck. Who knows? We'll have a look at the comment section. Decent is saying Force Taste is free. This is in reference to your free Marines. Yeah, Force one's always free. You give your Force Mini to paint and let you use their paints. Did they still do that? Did they actually still let you use their paints in store?
Don't know. I think a lot of it changed during COVID. I don't know. I think they still have painting classes or painting nights where you can go in, but I think it's more aimed at
young ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to one. I think I'd feel a bit awkward. I'd expect to end up on a register. I
was about to say nonce in the playground. You know what I mean?
I'd have my platform boots on.
Okay. Tommy Mack is saying, I just ordered a bunch of Forceborn Space Wolves and the Third Edition Codex Eye of Terror. I figured it best before they Primaris the entire range. I actually have the Eye of Terror Codex. I remember it being out and about. In fact, I did plan on making a video and never got around to it, doing the whole Eye of Terror campaign. I bothered to buy all of the White Dwarfs over the whole Eye of Terror campaign, new and plastic. I still have them. So who knows? Maybe one day, many years from now, a decade later, hey, that video's done. But yeah, I remember that. Like, there were some interesting armies in it as well. Like, Tommy Mack is saying, tried to buy the armies I couldn't afford as a teenager. Squig Boss, Mad Nobz is here saying hello. What's the crack?
Hello.
Sci-fi, do you still plan to orgify the Storm Eagle Scar? What in the hell is the Storm Eagle? Storm Eagle?
Oh, you asked him.
Is that... If that's the Forge World Flyer, I sold it off 6 years ago, I think. 5, 6 years ago.
It is an Imperial Flyer, and I've got a picture of it in a price tag of £145. So I'm guessing it is Forge World.
I bought it for £105 about 4 or 5 years ago.
That's the one. See if this works.
Oh no, not that. I don't. It wasn't that. It was the. I think it was the Thunderbolt. I think Thunderbolt. I had a Thunderbolt. I am not Orca firing a Storm Eagle. That is not happening. Sorry about you there, but.
What is the very big one?
Oh, it's like the Marauder Bomber, isn't that one? I think is it the Marauder Bomber? One of them has like one of them has like a turret, a chin turret, and then the other one has like a shed load of like las cannons. So one was a bomber, and the other one was like a strike. It was the same model, but it was the different weapon loadouts. I think it was the Marauder Bomber.
That's what I was thinking of, the Thunderhawk.
Oh, you were thinking of the Thunderhawk. I wasn't thinking of the Imperial Guard one. How much is that? A Thunderhawk?
The Thunderhawk is £575.
Ah, Jesus, is that all, church? You'd get change out of 600.
Get two, one for Sunday best. But my mate's got one, and he's painted it up. I've been talking about it recently, and he hates it. He hates the paint job he's given it. He says it's terrible.
Right.
And he's mounted it on like a bit of clear plastic rod, fucking a bit of acrylic, a wooden inch thick, flying stand, and then that's I think screwed into a pizza base, a pizza chopping board.
It doesn't come
circular
with a
wooden board.
No flying stand, no base with it. No,
it doesn't come with one. No. It doesn't need a base. It sits perfectly flat on the table like all flyers should. So we got that, but the other night.
Nearly 600 quid, you don't even get a base.
He was awoken by a thump in his room,
right.
Like not in his bedroom, and he's.
Oh, don't tell me.
I don't know, spare room we'll call it. Yeah. It's where he does his hobby and his missus works.
Yeah.
And he went in, and the wing had fallen off.
Well.
Bearing in mind, he'd done this probably 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and the wing had just, in his words, sheared off. It just went. It just come away. He'd glued it, and he'd used all that. When you're doing the big Forge World stuff, there's a certain epoxy.
The Araldite or a two-part epoxy.
Yeah, it's not Araldite. It's not Araldite brand, but it is like a two-part epoxy.
Yeah.
Something weld, I think it's called.
Right. Okay.
I can't remember. And he'd used all that stuff, and it came off, and it cracked into one of his only Ork models. He's got a couple of Ork models. He does Space Marines, Necrons, and Knights, but he likes buying other stuff and all, which just looks cool. And I told him to get a flyer, and he bought one. I think he bought it. I might have got him. I can't remember. No, let's say he bought it. Anyway, the wing crashed into his Dakar jet and took that off the shelf as well. And a tail fin snapped off. She went, oh, glue fixed. Right. Oh, so, what's the fucking toughness of this?
It's tough enough, yeah.
But he went to he thought, right, since I've been refixing the wing, I'm gonna JB Weld. This was just mentioned. I was just clocked that out.
JB Weld.
Since I'm fixing it, I think I'm gonna do the give it a spruce up on the out paint job and that. So I goes, well, are you gonna strip it? He goes, I think I might strip it. I goes, I wouldn't bother stripping it. You've primed it. Then you've painted it with an airbrush mostly, apart from a bit of weathering and details and that. It's already primed, essentially. You're just putting another layer on. It's a totally different fucking colour, or whatever. Just start fresh on top of the existing paintwork.
I mean, yeah, if you airbrushed it, then it wouldn't be that thick. So, yeah, you could just.
No, it's not being slapped on with a big 4-inch brush. Although you probably could with the size of it. It is kind of big.
Yeah.
But he started putting, hitting it with the airbrush, and the paint started falling off.
With the airbrush?
Like, just. Yeah. Now, I don't think it's the airbrush's fault.
I'm like, what's he spraying it with? Paint stripper? What? Fucking airbrush cleaner? Hold on.
It was nothing. It was just paint. But he said at one point he was doing it. This is on Friday night. He was telling us it started doing it, and it just went down with the primer. And the primer was I haven't got mine. It was a Vallejo
black, was it?
Yeah, the Vallejo.
I mean, Forge will used to tell you to just use car body primer. The black,
yeah,
the black,
that's what I use. And I've never had any bother. but he'd use this Vallejo stuff, and he said you just got big patches of black, and I can't, mate, leave it black. Just hit some weathering. Just weather it. Just weather around it. Highlight around it. And he goes, I'll see. I'll have a play with it. And he hit it, and he said all the primer started bubbling up.
Bubbling?
And like it was bubbling, and like great big swathes of it was falling off.
Jesus.
And it was like, mate, strip it.
You need to find out what's going on there. Yeah. Maybe it was partially cured. It wasn't fully cured or something. Or
maybe it's. He said it seemed like release agent, although it'd been sort of like cleaned and.
But like their miniatures were so like slick with release agent. I remember that like you'd feel there'd be this greasy texture from holding it. You'd be like slick with the stuff. Like
he said, he felt like it was coming. It was seeping from its pores. I thought it's got pores, but it just. As I say, it was all gone. It's just come back. It must have been lurking inside.
Yeah, sci-fi was saying it.
What's on the glue?
Yeah, I think Dim bought the Gargantuan Squiggot, and I have to say he did a cracking paint job. Now, mistakenly, he painted it purple, and I had to then remind him of what other purple dinosaurs we all know about, and hence being called Barney. But there was a patch in it that he said he had. There was a specific patch that he always had trouble with the paint trying to stick to it. And I think the paint that he used to get it to stick was one of the old foundation paints, because they were just packed with pigment. Like, he managed to do a patch job there. Like, my God, I remember using the old foundation paints, and you'd literally be after a while, be like your brush was fucking sandpaper. It was that packed with pigment. Like,
I never cleaned resin. I just used to stick the resin. I was too excited.
You have to. Now, I've never watched
this is not Forge World, mind. This was like I'd got resins like Artel and what have you.
Okay.
And I was just getting straight in, sticking them together, priming and painting. I never had any problems.
No, you had to wash Forge World stuff. I'm trying to see if I've any Forge World kits to hand. I'm just out of putting a load of them away. Because I'm sitting on a load of kits because, of course, I'm a lazy bollocks. I'll get around to them eventually. There'll be long hour production by the time I get around to them, but I'll get there eventually. But Forge World stuff, you have to. You have no choice in the matter. Yeah. Jesus, like if you tried to paint it, the water would it would just bead up. It wouldn't even spread. Like
we bought the Warlord Titan. The large purchase.
He knows he could have bought a car for the same money, yeah?
Yeah, he had a company car at the time.
He had a company car.
And I think that cost him about 1,400 quid.
Oh.
And he painted one of the arms. I don't know what it's called, Macro Plasma Annihilator Sunblast.
Oh, that's right, because you have to buy the arms separate. They don't even come together, do they?
Yeah. First time I saw it, I thought £600, and then realised that was just the body.
Just the body.
No arms, no shoulder guns, no head. It was just the body and legs.
Buy your carapace weapon separately, and your head, and your gun arms. Yeah. And I mean, like, I'd love to do that. I'd love to buy a gun arm and do something with it, but like even then, the cost.
I did see a great conversion where somebody had the Warlord Titan head, and they'd made an auto conversion, and it was on like big legs.
Nice.
And it looks just so fucking weird. That's class. But it's still about 100 and, well, I don't know what it is, 70, 80 quid for the head, I think. But he painted the whole gun arm, and then found all the paint had fallen off it.
Oh,
at least in one big section of it. And the thing was about that big, it's a canny size. And all the paint had come off, and I was like, "Did you not wash it?" He went, "I had a bath with it." And I was like, what? I ran a bubble bath for me and the Titan, and we both got
Throw in more Radox there, love. The water, I can still see through it. It's not quite blue. Fucking.
He was sitting in the bath just scrubbing his Titan. Now, when somebody tells you they've been sitting in the bath scrubbing their Titan, it paints a mental picture.
It paints a totally different picture.
It does, but obviously didn't scrub it enough.
Yeah, no, you can have massive problems with them, and then sometimes they wouldn't be fully cured either. So people would be getting advice to leave it on the window still for a while to cure again. Just so, like, I've never come across a product line that had so much hassle. Now they looked mint when they were done well. You know what I mean? Like, I did want to convert a Thunderbolt back in the day, but sold it off.
Yeah.
But like some of them are great. I like the
Oh, yeah.
custom Stompa. I thought that was a good one. Myself and Sci-Fi, when the Forge World, I've probably said this a few times now, but when Forge World changed over their website, they had the prices the wrong way around. So like the Stompa without the belly gun was more expensive, and the Stompa without the belly gun was the cheaper price. So we both got it for about 40 or 50 quid cheaper than we should have. We went into the staff and we were like, have you seen the prices? And he was like, that's the price it is. It's like, we looked at each other, it's like, I'll have one, he'll have one, yeah, that'll do it. So
I think you'll find, sir, they don't pay me enough to care.
Do you know what? That was pretty much the reaction.
I've got 4 in the car.
Reading between the lines, it was like, well, you know, fucking.
Yeah, I've worked retail.
I wonder, Si, have you built your one? I know you started building your custom Stompa and then gave up the ghost on it, but I still haven't gotten around to doing mine. It needs to be done. So I was saying that Stompa was a bargain. Yeah. See, we used to buy the battle wagon with the cannon on it because it was like 50 something quid at the time, whereas it worked out like 10 or 15 quid more. It worked out like a tenner more expensive to buy the gun. I think, yeah, the Forge, we figured it out. It was like you could buy the gun separately and you could buy the battle wagon kit separately, and it worked out like 70 something quid. Or you could buy the battle wagon and the gun together off of Forge World for like 50 quid, and we were like, yeah, it's a no-brainer.
That never really changed. I bought the battle wagon with the super cannon.
Yeah.
I then built the battle wagon and didn't touch the super cannon. Ended up putting it on a truck, I think. But I was like, it's not that much more.
No, yeah. It was like
than the battle wagon.
Reasonable
on its own, it was 30 quid. So I was like, oh, fuck that, yeah. Definitely up for that.
So I said apparently he managed to con the Forge World guys into giving me the battle wagon sprue and getting the super cannon battle wagon. I've built the Forge World Stompa but not painted it yet. Well, okay, look, sure, Jesus, you've gotten more progress.
That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. I know, well, Jesus. I do think not long ago, and I was like, oh yeah, we started going to Warhammer World in like 2014. It's like, oh yeah, that was 10 years ago. So like either 10 to 6 years ago was when all these shenanigans happened. But alas.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to the next meet. We'll be doing Gorkamorka. We shall go more in depth in the next episode about it, but you know, that's grand. We've plenty of time.
Yeah, is this like, does Dim like an expert, or he's probably an expert on the whole bloody thing, to be fair, isn't he? But I mean, like, was it more to do with rules or the law?
Both. Dim knows a fair bit about both. See, the funny thing about Gorkamorka was it was when people played it, they didn't play it for a very long time. They'd play a campaign and they'd probably play like 6 games or whatever, 5-6 games or something a piece. Because what would happen is as you play through the campaign, you do different things. So like, say one of your guys lost his leg and got a peg leg. Well, the next game you'd show up and you'd have like his leg sawn off and you'd give him a peg leg or whatever. You know what I mean? The whole idea was like there was the narrative of going through it. Or this one's lost his eye, so we give him a green stuffed eye patch. So using like plastic orc boys might be like a good idea to start off, because you'll have youths, which are the young orcs, young up and coming orcs. You'll have boys, you'll have a knob. Sure, like if one of your boys ends up with better leadership than your knob, then the two of them have a fight to see who's the boss of the mob. Like, there's that sort of stuff. There's the mechs that look after your vehicles. There's the vehicle drivers. Sometimes the boys will end up having scraps to be the driver. They'll be like, oh no, I want to be the driver, whatever. And they'll, you know what I mean? In the downtime between games, you could find like that your driver has knocked the bollocks out of one of your fucking boys because he got cheeky, you know, and he's gotten a bionic limb because you had to bring him to the doctor or something. It's very narrative. It's a very narrative game. It's very interesting and it's fun. It's been a long time since I've played it, but any memories I have of playing it have all been good ones that I've enjoyed, and
that sounds good.
it's a good opportunity to do some conversions. I mean, a truck, and a box of boys, and get yourself a knob or something like that, and you know what I mean. You're sorted if you want to do Gorkers and Morkers. If you want to do Rebel Gruts, there's a few more bits you could do a bit of converting as well, you know. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be fun to see what everyone goes with.
I think the thing that sort of intrigues us most, and intrigue maybe isn't the right word, terrifies might be, you know, just as accurate, is the whole, if you've got a truck that holds 10, the truck must hold 10.
Yeah.
In fact, the truck doesn't hold 10. The truck holds what it holds.
Yes. Miniatures.
Well, you actually fit on it.
Yeah, so you probably like, so with the game, it was played, everything was on 25 mils, or these very
I thought they had little pitchy bases.
These very unique. Hold on, and I'll click into myself, make myself bigger. So they're either 25 mil bases or these weird. I shall use my head as contrast to the base. My bald bonce comes in use for once. So these very unique, weird little bases they introduced. So that you could get more miniatures into your vehicles, but you know you're more susceptible to sort of falling over and stuff. But yeah, like 25 mil bases. Yeah, this is why like the vehicles being so small weren't so much of a problem, because you were literally like trying to cram all in the vehicle. You used to have people doing silly stuff like fucking double decker buses, or they'd have like a colander they'd made out of plastic card over their truck, and they just throw all their boys in. Oh, well, they fit. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So there was hilarious conversions, you'd see. But absolutely cracking work as well. Like.
What's the opinion on magnets?
Sacrilege. Sacrilege. Magnets. Down with that sort of thing. How dare you, sir?
I'll hang on to the side by the feet.
Aye, well, yeah, you could have like little footsteps and then like holding on to stuff and then swinging off or whatever. I don't know if magnets would be in the spirit of the game. I wouldn't mind, but I think it would be something we'd have
probably wouldn't be, to be fair.
Yeah, pass by the lads. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's an interesting little game. It doesn't take much to play. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a box of boys and a truck. Get yourself a second truck if you're feeling very swish with the old teeth at the start of the campaign. And you can't go wrong. Tommy Mack is asking me, Scar, will you build a fort you made drawings of? I made drawings of a fort years and years and years ago. I would love to make that fort, actually. I had a few ideas, because I always sort of, you have forts, so you got like a cardboard fort, but I always saw like the Orky forts as, you could do them so that it's just like a fort scrap wall, or you could have it like a compound, you know what I mean, where it'll be a load of buildings that are close into each other, and you'll have walls in between the buildings. You know what I mean? And section it off like that. Like, it always, there's great conversion opportunity, you know, and you'd have like a little mech shop where there's, you know, you could have like a spare chassis jacked up that the mechs are working on, and you can have like tools all over. Like, it's an absolutely great conversion opportunity. Loads of little narrative terrain pieces, you know what I mean? Like Sid, if Sid was going to build an orc fort, he'd have an absolute fucking field day with it. He'd love it, man.
Clint.
Sorry. Apologies. My brain. Because you're here and I'm looking at your face, it's like, oh, Sid.
Yeah.
Apologies.
I was thinking, I saw it me.
Well, I mean, you would as well. The two of you are the same in regards to output, in that you actually get shit done, like, so, you know.
Well, yeah, I'm going to put my mind to it.
Yes. You are more consistent in the actual finishing of projects. Oh, my brain's fried, as you can tell. You're more consistent with finishing projects than the rest of us. Combined. Quite literally combined.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And who you mean.
And who I
and
mean.
Why.
For once.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it feels like it's so far away. And it is. We're not on a date yet, so we don't know when it is. But even if it's when we think, and when we roughly discussed, you're still talking like it's not in 2024. And and it's still in the first half of 2024. So bloody hell,
Yeah,
plenty
not
of
too
time.
long.
But before I start making anything for it, I'd like to know what I'm making. So I suppose I'd have to write the list or whatever, whatever it's spend me teeth.
Yeah, well, we'll probably, you know what, that wouldn't be a bad idea for the next stream. It would be if we all sit down and make mobs, maybe. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
We'll have
I
a...
might see if there's any Gorkamorka content on YouTube, so I can have a bit of a stop.
One of my very first videos was opening a box set many, many years ago, but there's a couple of Gorkamorka
It's a
videos.
good place to start.
Yeah, there's a couple of Gorkamorka videos knocking around. But if we did a build or even a breakdown of how to do a build, maybe not forcing people to be locked in, and then just a general rundown in our next video, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I just think the thing that worries us, and I say worries, it's like it's a concern, is that I've built trucks, I've got plenty of trucks, and when I'm using them in a game, if they've got troops in them, I'll put some of the minis in the back of the truck to represent, what's in them.
Yeah.
So your opponent knows, oh, that's got beast snaggers in, that's got nobz in, that whatever. And I managed to fit one in, right? In a push 2. And it's a push because there's like it's the gribbly bits that hang around all over, that sort of like arc over the top, and
yeah,
I don't model for function,
for practicality. It's all visuals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all.
Like I was looking at that one you did for your beast snagger boys, and all the sinews and stuff like that you did for the bones and stuff. Like the way you managed to get it to all come together was actually pretty crafty. Because I was thinking to myself, like, how would I couldn't quite figure it out myself, like how to actually get all the bones to stick together and stick to the vehicle without them looking kind of out of place. But you did a really crafty, sneaky way of doing it. And I was like, oh yeah, this is all green stuff work, but it's all sinew. Yeah. Oh man.
Dental tape, dental floss.
Tape.
That's
never
cool.
leave home without it.
But yeah, just lots of that. Just pull it off with 2 foot of it, and then glue with patience. Glue one end on, leave it, make sure it's set, and then just sitting there. Where's my little? Is it here? Is that the bit? I've got a bit of brass rod. There it is. Oh no, I used it. It had a little hook. Where's my head? Little hook on the end. Yeah. And that was just so I could sit there and go, la la la, wrap it round, pull it through. It's like basically crocheting with dental tape on an Ork truck. And then we'll go over this side. Just, And then when it's done, just hit it with a spotted glue as well to keep the loose end on. You don't need it. If you coat it all with glue, I found it lost some of the texture.
Yeah.
The primer set it and it was fine.
Oh really? Because I was wondering, isn't there like in dental floss, isn't it like coated in a wax or a resin as such?
Minty
fresh finish. Yes. At least your miniatures will smell lovely regardless now.
Oh, this is it. Yeah, the primer really seals. I didn't know. I suppose it is coated in something, isn't it? But I've never had any problems.
Whatever
with
the fluoride.
I've used it for making wraps on like handles. You just got a bit of plastic.
Oh, I saw you do that. That looks
shaft.
Yeah, all these little tidbits of information. Like I still the electrical tape to make straps for the.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, I can't. It's green. But the electrical tape for the straps for the combi scorcher, I was like, that's a mint idea. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's actually that's born out of desperation from not being able to do convincing green stuff once before.
Yeah, no, I try because that's what I was doing as well. I was going down the same track. I was like, I'll try green stuff and stuff, and you were like, nah, save yourself time, mate. Do this instead. I was like, this is brilliant.
Three bits of electric tape on top of each other on a cutting board, and just slice them into strips and peel them off. And little spot of glue. Be patient. Wait for it to dry. Yeah, trim the sides. Yeah, I've sat there green stuff before. Every time I've done a strap and I've molded a little buckle, And I went, oh yeah, and I've done some other stuff. I've went back and it's just fucking flat with a big thumbprint in it. And I'm like, see, that's the no patience. Don't let it cure. Just crack on. Just don't touch it. And you touch it.
But have you ever heard of like having a green stuff oven? So it's basically like
yes.
a little
From I think it was your
John Bone.
It might be what's his face? Was it 5 minutes on the sun? Some minutes on the sun.
Minutes on the sun. Yeah. That's John
yeah,
Bone. It was brilliant. It's just the idea that you could accelerate the drying of the green stuff on the piece you're working on, and then you'll be able to keep what you have still going. Like that, I was like, this is brilliant. And it was literally like a little cardboard box with a bulb in it and a meat thermometer. So he was like, yep.
Yeah, he was doing little backpacks, wasn't he? Yeah. He was adding little bits and just popping it in for a few minutes and bringing it out. It was
ta-da! No thumbprints here, bud.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man's a legend. Man's a legend. He actually did some goblins, I think, that were produced at some stage as well. But he's cracking. Great with the old green stuff he is. What have we got happening in the comments section? Sci-fi, the magnets would attract landmines. Put your truck at your own risk. Put on your truck at your own risk. Ah, yes. Tommy Mac said he loved the wind turbine thing. Yeah, Tommy, I think there was a few like pieces that, Jesus, I sketched up those concepts. It was like 18 years ago, 17 years ago. I never got around to it. So that, it's long overdue, I think. Sci-fi, someone made the Gorkamorka fort out of plastic card in the Gorkamorka Discord section. Looks amazing. I think I've seen it as well. It looks really good. BC is saying all you odd boys look like that was with me calling Clint Sid. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Poor Clint would be like, oh, looking. Not that you'd hear them, Sci-fi. Where Orc Steel Ballistic Skill 3 in Gorkamorka, I can't remember, too lazy to pick it up. Gorkamorka is where they changed the stat line of the Orcs. So the Orcs that were used to with the better weapon skill and the ship ballistic skill, that started in Gorkamorka. And that sort of informed the 3rd edition codex. So this whole idea of Orcs being more fighty than shooty, that started in Gorkamorka. That's kind of why Gorkamorka is actually like a really important part of the gaming history for Orcs and Orc players, in my eyes, is because it really put a stamp down on the definition of 40k Orcs and what they are and just the feel for them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a really big milestone.
Yeah, I was always, that's one of the big things when I first looked at a profile in 8th, after not seeing anything since 2nd, and I was used to Orcs being movement 4, which sounds horrific, but was standard. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, which wasn't what you had to get to hit anything. That was just a start, which then you compared it on the chart to tell you what you need to hit.
4,
In your weapon skill, what you needed was based on, at least in Rogue Trader days, it was a bit like toughness. It was compared to the opponent's weapon skill.
Yeah, and then you'd roll so many dice.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like a guardsman fighting a guardsman, equally matched. Weapon skill 3 is going to be easier to hit than a guardsman fighting some fucking Drakari lord.
Yeah.
Backflipping and
Avatar of Cain. It's like, no, you're game over, bud.
Yeah. But that was all a bit weird. And I was used to strength 3, toughness 4, like strength 4.
Yeah, but they used to all have what? They all had bolt guns, auto guns. Like they all,
there was a bolt gun, bolt pistol for Orcs.
Rogue Trader Orcs had bolters, heavy bolters, and there was Rogue Trader power armored Orcs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, heavy plasma gun was what you got in the space Orc box.
Space Orc box.
That was your heavy weapon. Plasma guns, power swords.
I never liked those miniatures because they're like, if you thought the backs, like if you thought the 3rd edition ones had a weird curved spine, those ones like super hunched hunched over and pretty much like face forced.
You glued one of the weird bolters, which was about 2 foot wide as well, and I was never a fan of it because it was like that the handle was there and there was a bit of a yard on either side.
That's right. Yeah, they were super wide, weren't they? With a little hand underneath. It'd be like having a microwave with a pistol grip on it. Like, they were just mad.
Yeah. To be fair, they had the t-shirts.
Padded armor was big, wasn't it?
There was no muscularity. They were just tube arms.
Muscularity.
The arms were tube arms, a bit like my own. Just tube arms with a t-shirt sleeve. And then you had like the flak vest. And you had the shoulder pads you could add on that, which were basically the same as power armor. Shoulder pads were huge, big, round things you could stick on.
And then the back plates usually, the round back plates, because they'd have like the clan.
Yeah, they all had a back plate on, a round back plate for adding your clan glyph or your Blood Bowl number. Or
yeah, Tommy Mac saying sweet mohawks as well. Yeah, that's true. They had the mohawks.
That was the most ridiculous mohawk in living history. Not just in Wargaming or Orcs, but just ever. Nobody's ever had.
It started off thin and then ended up with more volume at the very. It's sort of like there's more hair here than there is down there. What's going on?
He had a Dairy Lee triangle on his head. It was just. I've got some up there. I've got at least
Dairy Lee triangles or mohawks. That's for later. Go on, go get one and give us a gander because they were absolutely ridiculous. Progress-wise on the hobby front, Mr. Snippy has now been glued back together, and I've pinned one or two of the bits back in as well. So hopefully he doesn't explode when he falls again. I mean, he probably will if he's around Dim or Dread. Boy, Jesus Christ.
Just a quick check. There's nothing inappropriate painted on any of these. It was a long time ago.
Oh, that's right. Back in the good old days, there were some inappropriate symbols as standard, wasn't there? Right, we'll have an old zoom in on the old Sid there. Jesus, look at that bleeding size of the plasma gun on that one. Dirty.
Oh, use your head, son. And these were all painted as cornate, like ones that's on the back. You won't be able to see that's on the back. So heavy plasma gun didn't come with a handle.
No,
it's just a tube, and you just stuck the hand
with the fist, the clenched fist, sort of.
Yeah. So his fingers touching it, and it was like stuck on, like ridiculous. There's the mohawk.
Jesus Christ! Whoa! I knew it was bad. I don't fucking. It's not the way usually like your memory, accentuates things if you haven't seen them in a while. No, this miniature is quite the other way around. That's impressive.
That's not it.
He's got a yard brush on his bonds. He has. Holy Jesus!
That's one of the full bolters.
And then the chain swords as well were separate, weren't they, in plastic? Because these were like separate arms.
Oh yeah, chain swords. We had a power sword. That one.
Piddly power swords. My God, more like power toothpick. Fucking Jesus.
Yeah, they were really, really weedy things. Now that one, I went as far as to take a spike off the battle wagon to try and give it a handle.
Give it something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, spike like the railing spikes, wasn't it? Because they were all around the rim of the battle wagon.
Yeah. But that's the kind of what you were saying about the hunched forward sort of look.
Oh yeah, they're pretty much like face forced. They'd headbutt you before the rest of them would get near you in combat.
And these are on 25s as well.
Yeah.
And there's a little fella with a plasma gun.
Sweet.
Ooh. Which was funny because it was like a cone. The back end of it, if I was holding it, would be like that. And then the front end was like that. It's just tapered. But, I mean, as I was showing you before, people bag on about things like scale creep and that. And quite frankly, I don't think...
You don't see it.
I don't see it myself. Well, if I get them level, I'm on reverse E-cam here. But, I mean... Right, where's that? That's a better comparison because same size bases.
I think I sized them up. I think like the Rogue Trader Orcs are pretty much the same size as Grots now.
That's an Orc versus the Red Gobbo.
Yeah, there's not much in them, is there?
And he's an old mini.
And he's
Gobbo.
There's a few comments there. Tommy Mac saying holding a bottle of Head and Shoulders for the plasma gun. AKA plasma. What you talking about? That mohawk is style, and this is true. It's just me being subconsciously jealous of such such a fine head of hair. Exactly. That's exactly what it is, Skeet. So if I was saying the plasma gun always reminded me of a fish.
A fish?
A fish. Do you know what was a
I mean,
weird...
do you know what? Yeah, I can see that. You might be able to see it on that one better. Especially with the light. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It's got the little vents which look a bit like eyes. That's the best angle I can get to make it look like a fish. And then it's going. You either see it or you don't. It was the 90s. It's like one of them magic eyes. You go, oh, that's a fish.
Hey.
You know, that's how it works. But yeah. So I must have more of them somewhere, but there's 5 of them there anyway.
It's nice that you still have them, though.
Yeah, I've got me metal snotlings up there as well, which were going for about £5 each on eBay. Always meant to sell them. You can buy them again now. And GW selling for £5 each. Yeah. whatever price.
I'm not surprised. Like these metal dreads, the one I just glued back together there, I think they were selling. Oh, there's another one. Look, look, this one's metal. They're like 60 quid a pop, €60 a pop or something like that. I don't know where his backpack is, but I'll have to find it. But again, another multi-clawed dread with a scorcher. It seems to be the way I always went with them was 3 claws and a scorcher. That needs to be glued in a bit more.
Yeah.
It was a favourite of mine. Decent is saying like a babel fish. Or babble? Might be babble fish. Is that from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
It's one that speaks all the languages, isn't it?
Yeah.
Babblefish was a translation.
I think so.
I was going to say app, but I think program's very closer.
The old babblefish. But yeah, we can see it. Do you know what I always thought was weird? Do you remember the original sort of Space Marine, the rocket launcher that they had? The shoulder mounted one? Like that was a weird looking thing.
It was the what used to get me. I loved the fact I loved the back of it, which had like a cylinder with fins on it.
Yeah.
For no reason. And I loved the top loaded curved missile magazine. I thought that was mint.
That was cool.
But the front was
the front was like a quarter of something.
It wasn't symmetrical. It was like a wedge with a curve on one side and a flat end there.
Yeah.
With just a little tube that just poked out, and I was never a fan of that bit.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like it was supposed to be mounted on a vehicle or something, you know what I mean? And then they've just taken it off. It was very odd looking.
It wasn't as weird as the... Actually, no. I mean, I was going to say the weapons for Space Marines had in Space Crusade, because the missile launcher in that was mint, because it basically, you held it across his chest and it had the big curved magazine with missiles in as well. But the front looked like a rocket pod off like a attack helicopter or something. Yeah. You know, just like the cone with all the little holes around it, sort of. Yeah, looked weird. And the assault cannon's an assault cannon, but the plasma gun looked like a trumpet with a cup on the end.
There have been some weird weapons. There have been some absolutely odd ones. I'm being tormented by cats. Oh, you don't want to stay up? You want to go? You want to say goodbye? Goodbye.
Bye, cat.
Bye. Stay away from that green screen, you. That's right. It's like, stay away from that green screen. I better not hear claws in it now. I'm expecting your dog to just spring across the screen now. Ping, 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 ping. The ping pong ball he is.
I don't know where he is, actually. They have my door shut. I haven't heard him outside, but...
I don't know. Silence when it comes to pets is never a good sign. You know what I mean? So I haven't heard him in a while. What's he up to? My
daughter's back, so when she's in the house, the dog just leaves everybody alone.
Ah, she's the favourite, is she?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You just don't get a look in. It happens.
It's great. I can sleep without overheating. He's not very big, but fucking hell, he's like a hot water bottle.
Hey, last night, yeah.
They were away, my missus and my daughters and that. So it's just me and the lad in the house.
Yeah.
And the dog's like, oh, I might as well sleep with you. So he'd come up and he'd climb on top, and I was lying there, and I don't know what it was. The heating was off, and it was shite outside, but it was really hot. And I've got like just a scrap of blanket on us, just trying to stay cool. And the dog goes, I'm gonna, because my legs are like I sleep in like the recovery position. I find it safer because you never know.
As
So
if, yeah,
you're
yeah.
in that sort of position. So your legs are sort of like in almost a running position, and he just lies in the middle. And I'm like, oh, it's like a hot water ball. This is no good at all.
The cat,
I'm done.
when
I'm
she's
done. I can't
feeling
sleep like this.
when she's feeling very needy, this cat sleeps on your shoulder and then licks your head from time to time, just to remind you you're there at about 3:30 in the morning. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're up in a couple of hours, but I just, you missed the spot there when you were having a shower.
In famously smooth cat's tongues.
Fucking
It's not like a low grit sandpaper.
not at all. Fucking, it's the weirdest thing ever, man. It's hilarious. Welcome to the Warbosses show, where we talk about pets.
Tongues.
Wet sandpaper. Hey. Speaking of wet sandpaper, what sandpapers do you use, like, on your miniatures? Do you bother with the emery files that people use, or do you just use like the hard metal files that you normally?
No, I've used the metal files, but to be honest with you, I do find they're good as well. I'll tell you what I like about them, as you'll notice when I put them side by side. Oh, you can just sort of, for one, you pay a couple of quid and you get a stack of about like a dozen of them or so. But you can just snip a bit off and split it and cut it, and you can basically cut it to the shape you want if you need to get into a very small area.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't got to try and get this big tongue depressor and go, right, let's get under his armpit. While I'm pinging his arms off, you can just cut a thin bit, so you can trim a bit of size. I don't know where they are. I lose them. I don't care because
they're so cheap. Well, yeah. Because I suppose if it's not specifically sold as a hobby product,
no,
it's cheap.
That's the best. Yeah.
Like
that's the best thing you can say for anything. Always look for the non-hobby version of what you're after.
Yeah, because there's like
you'll
cotton buds you can get in the model shop that are pointed, but you can buy a box of cotton buds for a fraction of the price. And, you can clean your ears as you go too.
These cotton buds are better than the ones that aren't these ones. As in the wooden ones, I prefer the plastic ones.
See, we don't get the plastic ones. We get these shitty fucking paper ones now. It's a cardboard.
Right.
Well, literally, like, you'll be cleaning your ears, and you know the amount of pressure you put on cleaning your ears, and it will literally just...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the wooden ones would be great, but these are all right. They do the job.
I think they're actually bamboo. When I say wood, I think it's bamboo, which I believe is a grass. But who you been telling? The snitches get stitches. But it's what I'd prefer, because I've got the plastic ones as well, because they were just in the house for people who wanted to, like you say, clean the lugs or what have you. But I found out, especially when you use them with white spirit and that, which is mostly what I use them for, sort of cleaning up and cleaning off oil paints and that. The cotton bit comes off. It comes off very easy.
Whatever binder is on it, it's just...
Yeah, but with these bamboo ones, they've been spot on. It just doesn't happen.
They don't budge.
The plastic ones, you could say afterwards, you've got a little plastic stick, and you go, I want a plastic stick. It's hollow. It's free plastic rods, but it's not the same as the proper stuff.
No, not the good
Well, you
stuff.
can still use it.
I mean, it's no chubby chub lollipop stick core. You know what I mean? That's
no. I did buy a lot of them as well. Here it is. It's not a lolly stick. It's a cake pop stick. And again, I got about 500 for about $2.99, more than I'll ever need. And you know what I use them for most of all? Because they don't glue particularly well. It's a super glue. Don't be using plastic cement on it. You'll be there all day.
Oh, no. Depends on the... Has to be hips, isn't it? High impact styrene.
This is like a dolphin killer. This is just, there's no use for going in an ocean and murdering a dolphin 400 years later. It's just lethal. But I don't go through many, because all I use them for is if I've got a little crevice and I need to sort of get a bit glue in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes with your nozzle,
it just won't quite reach. Yeah,
you just can't get it. I put it in, and then I get one of these, and I just put the tube exactly where I want it. Just blow, and you can just blow the super glue to where it needs to go into the crevices, and it forms a much stronger bond than that.
Right. Okay. And then
really
it doesn't really glue to what must be Teflon then at this stage, or...
Well, it's not touching it. I'm just sort of...
Oh, you're blowing it in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not poking it. I'm just blowing it. If I just go...
See, what I do is I get
that focuses and you can actually get a little bit of direction on it as well.
I get a Coke can and I cut it down. Now, I've been using it for paint lately, but usually I'll put like plastic glue or super glue here, and then I get a toothpick or whatever and touch it into where I wanted to go. Do you know what it's really good for? This is good for like if you put plastic glue here, and when I'm doing the rivets, yeah, same thing. So yeah, when I'm doing the rivets, I stab it with it and then dip it in there and then dip it over onto the
I do that for the rivets, but this is more so when I'm just trying to. It's more so when I'm trying to sort of beef a join up.
Yeah.
You know, if especially if it's not a visible join.
Do you bother with the baking soda trick with the super glue?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It's great for a really like a stronger join. I mean, it becomes a little bit more brittle, so it's probably a weaker join in total. But if you're gluing, say that to that, just because two things at hand, you were gluing that on there. You put your little spot of super glue on, you put it on, and it'll stick, and then you go, yeah, and then you'll knock it and it'll snap off because it's hardly any surface area. But then you get something like, that's what I use most. I call it Maxi Bond, but it's just MX Bond. I don't know what the fuck. It's a medium sort of viscosity super glue.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So like, if you clip it just takes a second to get across.
I have a medium one as well that I use quite a lot,
And I'll just pile that on, and I reach back, and there's me bicarb. Bicarbonate soda up there, and just chuck a load on. Give it a few seconds. I mean, literally 3 seconds. Shake it off. Give it a few more seconds. Tap it off with the spoon I used to tip it into place. Then blow, and then give it a dust. And obviously, it goes fucking everywhere, and everything feels slippy because it's like an ultra fine powder. But it just creates like a weld. You've then got a little blob. Now, if it's inside something, like the Bad Moon Stompa head I built, that was just shed loads of that. So I had like a moon.
Like a cartel deal gone wrong, just fucking bicarb everywhere.
Oh, fuck, it was everywhere. It was literally everywhere I was going in with white powder and passion, and it was horrible at work. But yeah, I just stuck like struts on the side with that because I was gluing plastic card like that way.
Yeah.
So it all just, piled up in the edges. It just gives you a bigger surface area and it holds better. And because on the inside, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're not going to be seeing.
But on the outside, it gives you a lovely texture as well.
Right. Okay.
I've painted areas with a cocktail stick with the fine super glue, thin super glue, and then like on the there was a Bad Moon Death Dread I'd done, which was the head off Dune crawler, I think it was.
Right. Yeah.
And little stumpy dread legs, and on that and the Ork flyer, paint the super glue on, hit it with a bit of the bicarb, and it wasn't even gluing anything. I was just adding texture. Yeah. And it's just a rough texture, and you dry brush it with a bit of orange and brown, and it just looks like mint rust.
Looks like rust, yeah. Because I've seen people using the Vallejo paste for the gap filling. Was it plastic putty they call it? It's not plastic, but I've seen people doing something similar with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you Ork Wonders making rivets out of it.
Yeah, I've done that for that stuff.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah. You stipple that on. That's great for texture as well.
That's my second tube. That's my first tube. It's coming to the end.
Nice.
I've not used that one yet. But yeah, that is phenomenal for rivets. When I've done the Death Roller Battle Wagon, Deffskullz Skullhammer.
Skullhammer? Yeah, Skullhammer Battle
Wagon. Yeah, it was the Bane Blade one.
Yeah.
There was some, I put some ladders on it, but because they were just ladders, I didn't want big, daft, stupid looking ladders, so I made them to scale for the Orcs and Grots. But the rungs were too. It was just literally two bits of plastic rod with some plastic card rungs sticking across it, but they were too thin to put me rivets on. I was like, well, on a day I need to have some rivets on. I can't just stick them on.
Yeah.
And then I had that very tube, which I've lost the lid for. It's got a blue tack lid on it.
Blue tack to keep. That's great. Do you know what? I wouldn't have even thought that myself. See more tips. Love it.
Yeah, and I was like, there we go. And just a tiny little bit out, and just dot. And occasionally you'll do a shit one. That's like you've just made a little pancake, or it's 2 foot long, and
it's easy to clean off. Like it's water soluble as well, so it's easy to clean off.
It comes off quite easy once it's dry. To be fair,
yeah,
not accidentally.
Yeah.
But but then I was telling Clint about it, and Clint started doing it, and then he done a collar.
Oh yeah, he did like a collar with spikes.
Yeah, spikes. No, I got those all the time, but I was
I don't want
fuck that
that.
up.
Yeah.
Take it off, do a little one that looks like a rivet. But when I saw like loads of them going around, I was like, that's mint.
Mint. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how someone who does the same thing as you then has a different application, and you're like, why the hell didn't I think of that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've shamelessly stolen it since round after putting the dental tape wrap on an axe handle.
Yeah.
Just a bit of plastic tube, snipped and fit on the bottom. It was like a I'm going to say butt cap. I don't know if that's the right term.
Well, I know what you mean.
For
Yeah, the bottom of
yeah. And then, well, talks in it. So I'll have a little ring of spikes going around it.
Yeah, there's normally like a ring of I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just so you can smack someone in the face with a handle of it instead.
Exactly.
Ah, I didn't expect that, did you?
Bit of damage with both
But,
ends.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool.
Loads of cool stuff.
There's loads of little tips and tricks and loads of little applications that you can be using for stuff.
I think the problem is when you do them all the time, you forget that the tips and tricks.
Yeah, you start to take some things for
what you
granted.
do.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not until maybe you're doing a bit of hobby and with someone, they're like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, it's this thing. Yeah. How do you do that? Like, yeah. Or even just the train of thought to get there. It's like, well, I don't even know where I pick this up, along the lines, but you do it this way and you'll get this effect, which is always interesting.
Absolutely.
But I think we'll leave it there. We've shared a fair few tips and tricks and talked hobby and, used their bonces as a background contrast to show you small.
It's getting easier and easier as the years go by.
I'm well ahead of you. Sure, Jesus, I started going bald in my early 20s. I'm just hoping the rest of it bleeding falls out so I don't have to keep bleeding shaving it,
Yeah.
One day. One day it'll all be gone. One day. We can all dream. Anyway, I want to say thanks to everyone who's joined in to our Warboss show. And there was only two of us here, but, two of the finest. I mean, what more could you ask for? We kept you entertained. It'll be goodbye from me saying don't forget to drill your barrels.
I'll catch you later. Ta-da.
Bye.